Amateur Hour with I Feel Young on FBI 94.5. Such a great band, such super, super melancholy songs coming to us from Gothenburg in Sweden. But as it's hit 5 o'clock on the dot, means it's time for me to air my interview with Mark William Lewis. Had a little chat with him this morning. He's coming to play at Mary's Underground on the 1st of April here in Sydney. Tickets are still available. We'll link it in the description to today's show. But without further ado, I'll ease into the interview now. I'll be back. Had the pleasure to kind of listen to your latest album. How would you kind of describe the world that these songs live in?
It's a really surprisingly hard question for me, but I mean, I don't know. I think, well, firstly, it's like guitar music, I guess. So it sounds like that. Yeah, it's like guitar and drums. And how would I describe the world? I don't know. It's sort of a year and a half or so of my life, I guess, in kind of and trying to find the most like immediate, real feeling sort of songs that I made in that period, I guess. And I suppose that was like I ended up thinking about whether the lyrics felt kind of, yeah, I don't know, not important, but like intense enough or something, or like, yeah. But the world, I don't know. Maybe it's. I've heard people say that it's very kind of like London sounding.
Definitely.
I live in. I've grew up and I live in London, so maybe that's why. And I made it in London, but yeah, it's. I've also heard. I mean, this is all stuff people have said, not stuff that I'm saying, but people say it's melancholy and melancholy with, you know, rays of hope maybe here and there.
I like the term
But
rays
none
of
of this is
hope.
my, you know, this isn't my job really, but that's what people have said, and I'm
Yeah.
just quoting them.
I mean, it was interesting how you were talking about like the instrumentation as you know, a major element to it, and then you immediately went into talking about the vocals as well. And I feel like they do really work hand in hand, especially in this album in particular. And I feel like your music in general, but in particular this album, is so textured and kind of
Yeah,
atmospheric, I feel. And what was your kind of production process into building these textures for this record?
yeah. There's I've seen this clip of David Bowie where he's like talking about how an artist is much more comfortable talking about how they made something rather than like what it means, and I think he's completely right. So that's when people ask me like to describe what my music is, I just say it. I just kind of literally describe how I made it, or like what it's made of, or something. But yeah, I normally start by like stacking guitars, and I just like improvise. I mean, every form of writing, I guess, is just like a fixed form of something improvised at some point. But
Yeah.
I just like I really like stacking guitars, and I do that like a lot in my room or in my studio now. And then like a lot of those things just end up existing as instrumentals, and I might take them to another studio and do like piano or drums or something. But often I'll like write. I'll just start writing on on that instrumental, like, and find a little like vocal. But I try and go into it with no expectations really. I just try and do it every day and like capture something, and then if it feels good and if I feel like I have something to say, and then it might become a song. But I've gotten better over the years at not pressuring myself to make it into something tangible that has to end up on a record. But I think the way I see making music in general is that I find I find it hard not to do it. I find it hard not to make something every day. I start feeling bad if I don't. So I think records in general I see as records of like however long it was since the last one, basically, and what happened in that period emotionally or musically or whatever. And yeah.
Yeah, it feels
And
like it's really captured a kind of, I think, yeah, the sounds in this album are all sound very fleeting, and you're capturing them and kind of piecing them together in this like, yeah, very atmospheric, textural kind of way. And I remember when I first listened to the album in its entirety, I was sitting in my room. It was night. I had just a candle on and my headphones on, and like it felt like I was really in this kind of world, I guess, that you're offering up
that's
in the
wicked.
album itself. And I remember when I
Yeah,
got
see,
to
that's a much better that's a much better answer than mine.
but I guess that's also very like experience based as well. Like when I got to
I love that though. I really love that. Like I definitely love the idea of music that is really open-ended in that way, where I mean, to me, like one of the main things I love about music is like so that you can feel like cool when you go to the shops or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like and
yeah,
and everything becomes like this kind of everything has this kind of newfound sort of grace or like epic quality to it or something, because the song is like working its thing and it's working its magic into your imagination, and everything is becoming like exciting and interesting again. And like when I'm working on my own music, I listen to it a lot when I go out, and if it starts doing that, having that effect, and to me it's quite binary. It's either not doing anything or it's doing that, and if it's doing that, I will usually finish it and find a way to release it. But
100%.
when I
Like
hear people talk, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
yeah, like I remember when I got to the socializing track on the album, and I was like, I really feel like, yeah, you got to build this world in its entire. Like I was excited to hear the rest of it, because even at that point, I
Cool.
was like, I can feel that kind of holistic approach to the album in a way as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like, yeah, your songs also kind of have this sense of like mystery towards them, which I think is so hard to find in musicians and artistry at the moment. Like at a time where artists are kind of expected to explain everything to such an intense extent online. Like, how do you find place for mystery, I guess, in a way, as an artist that's, in the spotlight?
I think I think I've just always been like that. I've always been quite private on social media and stuff, and that didn't change when I started releasing music. And it wasn't necessarily. I'm not going to lie. I was informed by some of the ways my peers were doing it, but I was like, that resonates with me much more than. I've just always been private anyway, so I was like, okay, cool. I'll just do it like that. That seems easy.
Yeah.
um, and I've never felt any impulse through music that it's anything to do with my. It's never been any kind of accessory to like wanting to talk about myself. Like I'll put it all in the songs. Obviously, I'll talk about myself and I'll put as much as I can into the songs. Like, but I've never done it so that I can then post a picture on social media and be like, oh, this is about this and I'm going through this. And like, I just, not that I sound really disparaging about people who do that. I mean, I guess maybe I am, but each to their own, but it's just not me. Do you know what I mean? I'm not, I'm just more private. And then I just genuinely, I'm not, I'm just not very, I don't know. I think maybe I can be articulate when I'm talking about other people's work and why I love it, but I'm just not very good at talking about my own, and I'm okay with that. You know what I mean?
Because it kind of ties back to what you were saying before of it being a bit like an offering, like you're putting yourself into it, you're putting your experiences into the music itself, and it's like
Yeah,
how it's built outside of what you're putting forward, for the individual when they're listening to it. And I think that kind of reigns true for your whole discography, I guess. And I think, yeah, I'm curious to know as well, when you're like, you just started the 2026 kind of leg of your tour, like how do you what shifts do you find when you're performing these songs in front of a crowd? Because there is that element when you're putting yourself as the face towards it in front of all these people, you know, it kind of, I can imagine it must change it slightly.
I really love it. It's like my favorite thing about um it's I think it's something that increasingly is with the way like culture has become, or I think people and families and friendship groups have become more and more, I suppose, atomized through the internet, I guess. I think a positive side effect of that is like I think people love live music maybe than more than they did before. And I definitely do. I like, to me, the feeling of like being present in present in my mind and present in a group of like however many people. It's like and all joining in over like not even just my shows, but when I go and see shows, it's like one of the most. It's like such a gift, and I'll never take it for granted, you know. And I'm really like passionately believe in it. And especially with my songs, it's like it's when they it's just sometimes it's quite kind of overwhelming because it's like something I started in my room, something that meant something to me, and then I took it to Jamie, who's my friend who I produce with, and it like we had our moment with it, and then it goes to my band, and then there's like four of us, and we have our thing with it, and then suddenly there's like 500 people, and it's like, and it's just unbelievable. It's like it's my favorite part of what I do, and it's also when it all feels real, and it all feels like we're all connecting with this idea that started in my room and is now like something which we're all connecting with in a different way, but I don't know, it's just something I'm really
Yeah, I feel like there's so many moments within music production that I feel like it's not fully established until you get to those moments right in the end where then it
yeah,
becomes this like
yeah, exactly. That's when it feels like finally realized, I think, to me, and it feels like the circuit between like some idea and some like feedback that you're getting in terms of an emotional like feedback is like
yeah.
finally complete, you know. It's and a smaller version of that is like messages you get on Instagram or whatever, but like it just doesn't hit the same. You
It
know what I
doesn't,
mean? Like,
yeah, when you can see a crowd, you see the way they move through the space as well
yeah,
to something that just started as an idea in your head, I think is so wonderful. And to kind of like
yeah.
go back onto the album as well, it's kind of one of the first artist projects linked to A24 music. Like, did that change the way you thought about the album as being something, you know, connected to film in a way?
No, it was already finished.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
album
yeah,
was already.
yeah. Yeah.
I think it was in. I can see why they. I can see why they did it. I was going to say, but I mean, I can see like in hindsight how it sort of fits. I think both of our like brands, for want of a better word.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, no, I think it was a blessing that I'd already finished the album, so it was just like
Came as a pairing in a way.
yeah.
And then as well, like the record is self-titled too. Did that kind of decision come along the way of making the album itself, or was that something towards the beginning where you thought,
It was right towards the end, yeah. It was right
yeah,
towards um kind of because I didn't have another title. Um but I mean I had a few, but none of them felt right, and that one felt really, really good. I think the way I make albums, it's often that stuff will like tie it up at the end, like the title and the cover. And I that's the way you can sort of make it feel like intentional. And it is all very intentional, like in terms of I think I'm one of those kind of artists who's like, I think I'll probably be driving at the same kind of thing my whole life. I don't think I'll have my glam era or whatever. Like, I feel like so when it comes to naming and kind of covers and labels and stuff, it's all kind of like not an afterthought, but it's like what's the best way to sum up this particular phase of what this thing is I'm trying to describe to other people, you know. So it's not. Um, it can, yeah, it can. I think it will probably usually come at the end.
Yeah.
The self-title thing felt right because I do think it was like a period of self-realization in my life outside of music, but also how much that connected to music, and the two things supporting each other so much. And
Yeah. I mean, I love a good self-titled album. I feel like,
yeah,
especially with this one as well, it feels like it's kind of capturing all these fragments of your music over the years as well. That's kind of hit this spear towards the end, and I think it works very, very well for this
yeah,
album
no, that's
itself.
cool. I mean, I definitely was like referencing like the tradition of the singer-songwriter, and I did like the idea of emerging as like a solitary solitary singer-songwriter kind of figure. Like I think
Definitely.
it has a like I think it's kind of memorable, whatever. But
It has a bit of humor to it as well,
yeah,
which I really admire. And then yeah, I mean, like as I was touching on how when I first listened to this album, I was kind of in this, in my own space. It was dark, and it felt like it suited the sound of the album so well. And it's something that I feel like is how I've been listening to music recently, is literally just sitting there lying with my headphones on listening. But do you have a favorite way currently of how you enjoy listening to music, or where you
I'm
enjoy
kind of
listening to music?
I'm kind of the opposite. I'm like, I guess, like I was saying earlier, like I listen to music like out in the world, like in transit, like
Yeah.
cycling. I listen to music when I cycle a lot, um, or like traveling anywhere, like on a train or whatever. I actually find it sometimes I find it kind of hard to just listen to music at home. I think because
Mm,
I'm always trying to do like a million things at once when I'm at home for some reason. But yeah, I find like I really like me. I really like listening to music out in the world, just because it kind of like just sets my imagination going. But like the music like I would listen to now, because it's like 11 o'clock now, would be very different.
mhm.
Like now, I'd be listening to like really like quiet music.
Yeah,
It changes a lot for me. But yeah,
definitely.
most if I want to listen to an album, I'll go out and put
And
it and listen to it.
experience it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And just
well, Mark, I think that's all we have time for actually
okay,
today.
cool.
Oh, but thank you so much. It was such a pleasure chatting with you. Super excited to see you over in Sydney. And thank you so much for joining me.
Pleasure. Thank you
Thank
very much.
you.